Oh, hi, Mark.
Hello, and welcome to the Even Worse Podcast, where the films are bad and the podcast is even worse. Get it? I'm your host, Matthew Rogers. Joining me today,
Got Drew Myers in the house.
What are we? Some kind of even worse podcast?
that's Josh Summers, everybody.
Hello, everyone. I tried.
Where's Cade?
Kate is not here again this week.
Again?
Actually, he just sent me a message. He's actually in depths. He's in South America right now. They've gotten some unreleased Shyamalan film that they've been working on, and
He's studying it? Okay.
Yeah, he's it's grad work because he's really
He's a freshman.
He's a M. Night Shyamalan. He studies him. Okay,
Shamanology.
so
Please say Shyamalan.
Shamanology.
this week on Shamanology Podcast. So this week on the Even Worse Podcast, we watched Superman 4,
Superman 4.
The Quest for Peace.
When anything starts with 4, that's probably a bad
know
sign.
you've gone too far.
You've gone too far.
There is only one good fourth movie, and that is The Goblet of Fire, because it's based on a book. But we're not talking about good movies. We're talking about bad movies. That's why we're talking about Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Gotta slow down there.
That's
You're
right.
not faster than Superman. Man.
Yeah, that's true.
I am not. I'm not. Whose phone is that? Turn the phone
no
down.
phones, I know.
Come on.
That was
Come on,
Gabe's,
Drew.
actually.
Come on. Okay. So,
First impressions. I'll
first
start.
impressions.
CGI sucks.
Okay, Josh.
This is just a terrible podcast.
Oh, sorry. We're talking about the movie.
The movie. I think worst acted Superman movie
By
besides
everybody.
Man of Steel.
See, I
And,
disagree.
uh,
I disagree on that. Actually, I think that.
Oh, we already disagreeing about this?
I think that the acting wasn't the problem in this movie. I think that there was more of a problem with the CGI and the writing.
I think there was a problem about everything, but you stole my thunder. If
Okay.
you would have asked me, I would have been like, oh, yeah, CGI, the sound effects and the score, and yeah. But then you got to steal that from me. So I got to go like, oh, Gene Hackman kind of sucked in this movie.
Okay, so we'll get to that a little bit later, but we did a little pre-recorded segment. We called our fans, okay? The Even Worse Podcast, they have a lot of fans.
Have a lot.
So, we
Tons.
sent it out. We got some people to send us their numbers, and so we called them, so we're going to put that in now.
Thanks for calling Pizza Hut. If you're calling to place a new order, please press 1. To change...
Hello, thank you for choosing Pizza Hut. My name is Sharon.
Hello, you're on the Even Worse Podcast. What do you think of Superman 4? Have you ever seen it?
Hello?
Hello? Yes, you're on the Even Worse
sorry.
Podcast. What do you think of Superman 4, The Quest for Peace?
I think you have the wrong number.
Oh, no, it's Pizza Hut, right?
Thanks for calling Pizza Hut. Right now,
You're
everyone
welcome.
is helping other customers.
Helping
Please
other
stay on the
customers.
line. We'll be
Hey,
right
boy.
with you.
Yes, turn it
How
up.
about...
Thank you for calling Pizza Hut. This is Anastasia. Will this be for carry-out or delivery?
Delivery. Hey, you're on the Even Worse Podcast. What do you think of Superman 4, The Quest for Peace?
I'm really not sure. I mean, I think it's a pretty good movie.
Oh, yeah. What is your favorite part about that movie?
What is it? What is the podcast?
Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. You've never seen it? It's very popular.
No, you.
This is not a joke, ma'am. This is very serious.
Ma'am, this is serious. We are on the air.
You're live.
Okay, we're live?
Yes.
Live right now.
Just a quick.
Okay, so
quick,
what was the question?
Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. Like, what are your thoughts on that film?
Superman 4? I don't even think I've seen it.
Are you
So you're a
sure?
liar.
Oh, it's
Thank you for calling your local Walmart.
What was the number?
We appreciate your business
I think it was
and look
2.
forward to the opportunity to serve you in our store.
Right? 6?
For pharmacy,
0?
press 1.
That was 2.
For electronics,
Yeah,
press 2.
Do 2.
Okay.
For pickup,
Electronics. Typical.
hello?
Hello, you're on the Even Worse Podcast. What do you think of Superman 4, The Quest for Peace?
Excuse me?
Yes, you're on the Even Worse Podcast. What do you think of Superman 4, The Quest for Peace?
I'm not sure. This is Walmart.
Yes, I'm very aware. What is your thoughts on the movie? Have you ever seen it?
No, I have not.
That's a shame. It's a very great movie. I suggest watching it. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Wow, we love
Didn't you
our
love
fans.
that segment?
We're so funny.
We
Oh, goodness.
love our fans. We really
never
do.
did get that medium pizza, though.
yeah,
It's
we-
okay. It takes 30 minutes to deliver, And
Yeah.
so we're
Typical-
still waiting a little
Yeah,
bit.
Typical of
we're
the
actually good on
entertainment.
time then. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe once we get out of this podcast, we'll
Sure.
Pizza Hut will deliver.
All right,
Okay.
let's start with the beginning. The exposition that was featured in that movie.
Well, there's very little exposition in my mind, just because there's so little story to tell.
See, but I'm talking about like this is for they want the audience was someone who maybe has never seen a Superman movie, and so they're trying to catch everyone up that it's things that have happened in 3 films, and so there's this little like. I guess it's in Fortress of Solitude, right at the beginning.
No, so basically the film starts out with Superman on the family farm. Both of his adopted parents, the Kents have passed away now, and he's getting ready to sell the farm, or he's getting his little real estate agent to take a look at the farm because he's about to sell it. And for some reason he goes back one more time, and you can hear his biological mom or Kal-El's wife, whatever, his mom talking to him about
How dare you not know his mother's
the past
name?
the past events
Sexist.
of the other movies and what Superman is destined for and what he's got to do, and he pulls out a piece of kryptonite to take with him for
Which didn't
no
hurt him.
that
reason.
he can just hold now.
It's basically the MacGuffin of the film that you forget about for about an hour, and then it comes back at the end.
And then he comes back to the Daily Planet. It's like, hey, Lois Lane, I've known you and we work together. Just in case everybody didn't know.
Holy exposition.
Yeah, this film really was like, just in case you haven't seen the previous 3 superhero or Superman movies, which I hadn't seen them. So I'm kind of glad that exists a little bit in the film.
You haven't seen a single Superman?
Not I mean, like, I know Superman, but I haven't seen any of the Christopher Reeve
the-
films. Because I like to watch the good ones.
See, yeah, we were talking about it. Josh,
like Batman and
Josh
Robin.
doesn't like the third one, but I actually like the
No,
third
I don't
one.
like the third
I think
one.
Richard Pryor is good in that movie.
I
How
think,
long
well,
has it been
Drew, when's
since
the last
you've
time you
seen
saw
it?
the third
Yeah,
one?
I know. I saw it about 10 years ago with my dad, so that's a
Yeah.
little...
Please, we're
Good
not
memories.
talking about the third one. We're talking about the fourth one. This is our request for peace, okay, amongst the Even Worse podcast. All right, so sort of talked a little bit about the exposition. That kind of moves into the story, which story didn't really start happening until,
Like 40 minutes in?
I was going to say like 30 in a
Okay, I
90-minute movie, but
yeah.
40 and 30 are pretty
Chump
close.
change pretty much that basically, even when the story starts, it's like none of the characters realize that there's something going on like greater than themselves. They still carry on with their normal lives.
Okay, so I did write down when I felt like I thought the movie started, and it's when he went to the UN to
Right.
tell the world leaders, hey, we're going to get rid of all the nukes. We're going to have this peace. This is my quest for peace. What is this? Some kind of Superman 4, the quest for peace? All right, that joke will never get old. So yeah, he goes to the UN. He's like, hey, we're going to rid the world of nukes. So there's peace. So there's no more war, because on Krypton, no war. And it was like because it was an advanced society or something. That sort of happened at the beginning, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I
no,
thought they
remember that.
talked about that. That's what
Mother.
destroyed Krypton in the end, is them like doing an arms race. But
Oh.
that's something that could have been. I could have flown over my
I
head.
don't know. I think I remember that.
That
yeah.
that he was
At the
talking about. I
fortress.
don't want you to make the same mistake that
Yes.
that my people
They did
made.
say that.
I think so. Basically, the film revolves around the struggle is centered around Lex Luthor breaking out of prison.
Yeah, and let's talk about that
Again.
breaking out scene.
Yeah.
His little nephew, is it son? What
yeah,
is
it's
it?
his nephew.
He's working on a chain gang.
Lenny or something.
Lenny, John Cryer from 2.5 Men, the one that
Yeah.
isn't the one that isn't
one
Ashton
that-
Kutcher.
Doesn't have
Charlie Sheen.
HIV.
What?
He's the other one.
I have never seen 2.5 Men, so I.
Charlie Sheen, my man.
Anyway.
Anyways,
Did you hear me just say Ashton Kutcher? Because I
yes,
thought Ashton.
yes.
Wow.
What are we, some kind of
What are-
even worse podcast?
Yeah. See, I don't know anything about television
So let's
or
talk
movies.
his little nephew comes in with this like outrageous car.
Lex
and-
is working on a chain gang.
Yeah. So yeah, he's working out in the fields in prison. And then his nephew comes. Lex's nephew comes with this car, and it's like ridiculous car. Honestly, like they probably sold some toys for that car. Like it looked it looked like a Hot Wheel.
That car
For sure.
existed to sell merchandise.
Yes. A lot of things did in this movie. And so that happens. And then these 2 cops. First of all, there's about 20 prisoners that are there, and two police guards, I guess, or whatever you want to call them, prison guards, are there watching it. And then this guy pulls up in his car in the middle of nowhere, and the cops, they're like, "Wow, this is a cool car. Let's just go inside."
Yeah,
That's
can
smart.
we ride in your car while you do whatever you want with our prisoners?
It was just such a cop out, and I hated it. And then they go off, and Lex drives the car off with, I guess, like some remote. and then they obviously like would have died in that car crash, and they just because it's a PG.
Please,
movie,
this is a children's movie.
Yeah, exactly.
No one
So-
can die. Okay, so Lenny, his nephew, breaks him out of the chain gang, and the first thing they do is they enact Lex's new plan, which is essentially to create another Superman by using his DNA. So where can they get Superman's DNA? Well, the Metropolis Museum is
The New York, Metropolis Museum.
New York, yeah. Museum has Superman, like a strand of Superman's hair holding up 1,000 pounds because it's unbreakable or something like that.
And so what do they proceed to do? Gene Hackman cuts it with the basic.
Yeah,
Just
a
with
bolt
some,
cutters.
with some bolt cutters clip, and is able to steal it and create Nuclear Man.
Well, no, but it's not
No,
really
sorry.
Nuclear Man. It's really Flash Gordon.
He looks exactly like Flash Gordon. It's kind of uncanny. Okay, so and so what you're asking? Why does Lex Luthor want to create Nuclear Man? He wants to create Nuclear Man to kill Superman,
And then
cause havoc amongst the world, so that the world is forced to bring back nuclear weapons. And I guess at this point,
they're going to buy him. He's going to be the main arms dealer.
because he has
And
like
he's going to run like a
monopoly.
monopoly on it, pretty much.
And so let's
On-
talk about these nukes. So Superman's like, I'm gonna get all the nukes, and so he goes to every nation,
Oh, that's
and he just
right.
grabs. And so basically the plan is all these nations are gonna shoot their nukes out into the sky, and then Superman's gonna just catch them and throw them out into this
into
giant.
the sun.
No. First he puts it in this
Oh,
giant
it's a ball.
nuclear basket. Of
Yeah,
like,
it's
it's
a-
literally like
yeah.
like a giant basket that he puts these in, and then he proceeds to grab all the nukes and throw it towards the sun, which is just like what? Like.
And how many nukes do you think we saw? Like 20? It's like
Yeah.
glad to see there's only 20 nukes in this
The
world.
arms race, and there's 20 nukes.
Okay, so then Lex.
I'd like to point out like how easily the country were like, oh yeah, we'll just here
you
are our
go.
nukes. They don't know if any of the other countries are going to follow suit. Can you imagine like the height of the Cold
And
War?
that would have never happened in
U.S. and
87.
Russia, and someone like a third party would have said, okay, like one guy at a time, give us all your nukes. They would have been like, oh well, of course, no, hell no, that would never happen.
give us one nuke at a time until you're out of nukes.
Exactly. I guess Superman is just the authoritarian figure, and
Which
he's
is like-
he's a dictator.
It
Superman is a dictator
this-
confirmed.
Calling it right now.
This film is so like
Justice
87,
League,
like
Superman's alive.
like towards the end of the Cold War.
it's
and
just
so
it's Cold War propaganda.
exactly.
That's what this film was like, everybody in the world needs to be nice to each other, and that way it can be a good world.
So there are like two plots to this film, and
Okay.
neither of them mix.
And
Or-
neither of them
And
matter.
one
neither
of
of
the
them
plots is
matter.
resolved in like 10 minutes when he says, "Is that what you're talking about? Is the nuke one of the plots you're talking about?"
No, I'm talking
Oh.
about his relationship
Oh,
with
yeah.
one. It's kind of a love triangle, but they don't really explore it. The main plot.
It's not
The main plot is Lois being in love with Superman, but there being a new, younger female
but she is in love with Clark
with
Kent.
Clark Kent, which
and
is
so in their mind, it's just a love square, and it
It's just
works,
a
and
love
they can go
square.
on double dates.
But
But
it's
in
actually a
our minds,
triangle.
it's like this attempted dramatic irony. It's like
180 degrees interior.
Yeah, and then they do this whole this Ms. Doubtfire kind of scene where Superman's both Clark Kent and Superman, and it didn't really work out, and it
Stupid.
didn't even make sense.
it's
like
stupid and
I-
unbelievable. Up
Yeah.
to this point, I've seen Superman fly and pick things up, but right at this point when he was changing, I was like, this is unrealistic. I don't like that film anymore.
So Matt and I had a kind of discussion right before recording
Uh-huh.
about the budgets
Oh yes.
of the four films.
Oh, yeah, we
looking
can
at
talk
it,
about
everything with Christopher Reeves. Each one, the first three, each have about $100 million budget.
50,
correct?
50. The first one had a
The
55.
but then it increases and the top is 100, right?
What was their?
Nope.
But that's
55,
that's
54,
returns. That's returns.
19.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. The returns, the returns are always 100 until Superman 4.
So Superman 1, $55 million budget,
Made a ton.
$300
Right.
million gross.
Right.
Blockbuster, right?
Right.
Second movie, it was $54 million.
then
I
like
think they made
100.
like 119
Yeah.
back. Second film, the budget was
film,
like
maybe?
30 million. Or
Right.
sorry, third film, the budget was like $30 million. They made back like 80. And then
Finally, you've got
Superman 4.
like $15 million budget or $17 million budget with a $15 million return.
which just like you can totally tell their budget was like so small. The CGI,
right.
folks, if you have not seen this movie, you have to. This is probably one of the worst CGIs I've seen in a movie. And we were talking about
CGIs.
whatever you whatever. We were talking about this during the movie. Star Wars came out in 1977.
10 years
10
before
years
this.
before. Star Wars looked so much better, and I guarantee their budget was not as much.
Oh, absolutely not. Okay, so Josh, you are our expert for this week. Really haven't talked about that.
Right.
What is that fun little historical fact that you have that relates to the budget and how terrible the CGI is? I know what the fact is if you don't remember it.
Are we talking about the fact that they literally cut the budget entirely before? Or are we talking
They
about
ran out of
literally
money.
running out of money?
Okay, that
yes.
part. Yeah, tell me about that, bud.
So
I don't know anything about it.
basically, between Superman 3 and 4, they transferred the rights to production to a brand new company.
Oh,
And that's kind of like, it's still produced under Warner Brothers, but at the same time, they had a new production company that completely sliced the budget. For some reason, they decided to produce a fourth film. They should have seen the warning
money grab.
tracks of the third film, but they decided to go through with it. Maybe we can revitalize it. I think Christopher Reeves actually had a really strong push because we saw he had story credit for this one, and
That's right.
and obviously, what else was he doing at the time? He cherished the character. People love Superman, and
people love him as Superman.
oh yeah, of course. But the main thing that we realize is that through the research, the first thing that was cut, and it was in pre-production, they decided just to scrap most of the effects budget. And so you can see lots of reused footage, the same green screen shots of Superman constantly. You've seen, like I've said,
It's like the same shot of Superman, just a different
Right.
background.
And another one of the big things, they couldn't film anything in New York. They filmed, even though it is
That's right,
the New
yeah.
York metropolis area, they are filming the whole thing in England,
In England.
which is kind of interesting.
Oi, Superman, what are you doing flying around the sky? There you go. That's my
And the
incredibly
Even Worse
accurate.
podcast has hit a new low.
Hello, and welcome to the Even Worse Accents. I'm your host. I'm your host, Matthew Rogers.
Okay,
I
let's
should have
keep
quit.
going.
So
Cade had the right
Yeah,
idea.
Kate had the right idea.
to
It's
leave
a very
and go,
relaxed
and go
episode.
study
Let's talk
Shyamanology.
about. So not only did Star Wars come out in 77, in 87, two movies that we kind of looked up: Predator and RoboCop.
huge sci-fi films.
Yeah, both action based and very science fiction-y, like you just mentioned.
Done way better.
Oh, of course.
Way better.
I mean, if I was to just look at the movie we just watched, like I would have never guessed 87.
I would have guessed before
I mean,
Star Wars. I know that
Historically, yes, because of the Cold War, but like
right.
looking at it,
I would have guessed 60s. Like straight up, I didn't know
It was-
when the
it was
Superman.
bad.
If there was no dialogue in the film, so you couldn't actually hear what was happening, it would have been like, is this like 73 or 74? Not, we're about to get into
the 90s,
like, the era of The Lion King, Pulp Fiction, Shawshank Redemption,
Yeah.
etc.
Oh God,
some of the best movies
Exactly.
ever made, and instead
we'll never
we
do
get
it on this one.
we get Superman 4.
Honestly, I prefer Superman 4 to any of the films of the 90s. Pulp Fiction is just utter
Garbage.
trash.
Garbage.
We'll do that next week.
Yeah, exactly.
Our schedule for the next
Okay.
week: Pulp Fiction, Lion
Citizen
King,
Kane.
Shawshank, Forrest Gump.
Citizen Kane, Casablanca. What are these films?
Can we talk about this little kid?
Ah,
He literally
fine.
is in it for about 5 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah, so basically there's a little kid. I think his name's Jimmy. I don't know why they.
Who cares?
Jerry?
I think it
Jimmy?
was
I don't know.
Jimmy. Funny enough,
I don't
the
know.
main sidekick for Superman's already named Jimmy. So they've got two guys named
Jimmy
Jimmy in the
Olsen.
film.
Who-
And one of them is
his-
not Jimmy
his
Olsen.
Jimmy Olsen's name is never said. It's
No.
just us being nerds,
Right,
knowing that
knowing.
that's Jimmy Olsen.
Because they've said it in the previous films, but
oh, okay.
yeah, you just got to see the previous films, Matt. Anyways,
Yeah, whatever.
Jimmy is a little bit pissed off, I guess, that there's a nuclear arms race in between America.
So what does
and-
one naturally do when he's upset?
He calls Superman.
No, you're supposed to
he
call
writes.
your
He
local
writes a congressman.
That was actually
But-
funny. There's in the scene, like he's in the classroom, and the teacher's like, "What are we
So
gonna
what do we
do?
do?"
We're gonna write to our congressman." And then some kid in the
Random
what does he
kid
say?
pops up and says like, "What's that gonna do?
Yeah,
like
that's
that's
gonna
not gonna
do
do
nothing."
anything." And
And then our kid Jerry, Jimmy, whatever.
Jimmy, whatever the hell his name is like, he has the idea to write to Superman, which he does. Who does he address it to?
We don't know.
Where does he address it to? But somehow the letter winds up in Clark Kent's hands. It's absolutely absurd.
Which I was trying to speculate. I was like, maybe Clark Kent and Superman know each other
like the Peter Parker Spider-Man dynamic.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I know Peter and I know Spider-Man.
Yeah,
but
I'll take him this letter would make a lot more sense than.
That's what I thought was gonna happen.
And
then
they're
his-
like,
but
they
his
don't even
voice-
ask. They don't even ask Clark if he's gonna like deliver the letter.
Yeah.
They just assume that like Clark says nothing more about the letter. It's
I feel like
hilarious.
if you actually were friends with Clark Kent, you would know he was right. Like, come on.
right, of course.
Um,
Well, okay. That was something funny.
One more thing about the kid, and then we
Okay,
move
okay.
on. His voice.
Oh,
What was with his
the dubbing was so bad.
I'm pretty
I
sure-
just wish Superman had said yes, okay? Like, it was just
It really felt like it was dubbed by like a 50-year-old man
That's what it
trying to
sounded like.
be like kid. He was like, "Hey, Superman!
Hey, Soaps, come here!
Hey, Stoops, you want to go and play on our
Hey!
Sandlot baseball team?"
I'm walking here.
Jeez, look at the peeking on that.
Oh goodness.
Okay, so
Honestly, there's no one listening to this right now. It is just us talking to each other.
Our fan Pizza Hut. Okay, so there was a really funny moment in the film where like Lois Lane hands Clark Kent a newspaper with a super huge picture of Superman. I was like, how can you not?
And
tell?
it's a portrait too.
It is a
It's
portrait.
insane.
It's like a headshot. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's like his glamour beauty shot.
It is.
I'm like, how
And I
can
think
you
like I'm
not
sure the director was
tell?
like, we're gonna be smart because we're gonna be seeing him, but they're not gonna know. It's like, but it's obvious. Like
It makes
you
it
see, like,
worse.
2 pictures of yourself. It's
And
like-
there's so many times in the film where Clark is like, I gotta put on my glasses, and like people see him without the glasses on, and they're not like, hey,
It was done so well in the first movie that the hiding the secret identity
Identity.
thing, and then this one is just like, it seems like they knew what they were doing, and then their execution was like they knew pre-production exactly. They're like,
Uh-huh.
we're gonna have him take his glasses off in this scene, put him on in this scene. He's gonna act nervous this time around, and then he's gonna be confident.
they
But
didn't have the budget to do a
and then-
reshoot, and,
and
so
then
they were like, "Ah, you
during
kinda messed up the
production, they're
first
like,
time."
Oh, we forgot. Like what are we gonna do now?
Oh my
and
gosh,
they couldn't.
I forgot that Superman is just Clark Kent.
And you
without
think
glasses
reshoots
on.
are gonna be a thing? No way.
hell no.
So there's only about one big action, maybe 2 big action set pieces, if you want to call it that. There's technically 2 battles that
yeah.
Superman has with Lex's
Probably
creation, known as
Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon,
Nuclear Man?
New York
Flash
Metropolis, something
Gordon?
like that. And so I guess we should probably talk about the fight scene. We've
Well,
already
yeah, and
we've
I-
talked about the special effects to death.
Can I?
I had this in my notes about the fight scene. That took so long. I felt like that was a fourth of the film. Was that just me or no?
Well, so the first fight scene started probably 3/4. Josh, you good?
Yeah.
Sorry, Josh just looked like he was dying
just
for a
died.
second.
This film is just
Um,
tearing me apart.
It's tearing me apart, Clark Kent.
All right, I'm out.
Okay, so yeah, it.
He actually just walked out of the room.
the fight scene started like 3/4 like way through the film, and then like Superman like gets hurt, he gets like scratched by the Nuclear Man, and so he's like dying for a good portion of the
He's
film.
got AIDS or something.
He's got something. I
He's
think
got- he actually
he probably
his
has
body
super cancer. Or
super
something.
cancer, like
If they had to name it, they would have named it super cancer.
super AIDS.
Man, nope, that's not it. Close though.
Close. You almost got it.
Kind of wish you had left. Okay, so
Same.
so
Same.
before we talk about this fight scene, I think we really need to address Superman's powers. Josh,
Yes.
give me what are the classic Superman powers?
I mean, if you want to go through the
Classic.
like
Just give me the
the
classic.
the Max Fleischer cartoons, it's like, more powerful than a locomotive,
Yeah.
able to leap tall buildings in a single bound.
Mhm.
You've got the usual Superman powers, the super strength. The
flight,
ability to X-ray,
I'll even give
X-ray,
you
laser
vision.
laser vision.
and then his like laser like. bzzz,
But it seems
right?
like this film maybe takes a couple liberties, like
It might.
with the special effects,
It might have even been like
his powers, perhaps.
What can he do now? The Great Wall of China has been destroyed. What can he do?
Lego brick building power.
Yeah.
He
Just
he
like-
breathes on the broken bricks and reconstructs the Great Wall of China in
That's
a
how that
matter
works.
of seconds. It's
Was
it's
another one of the
brilliant.
ones
He
that we
stopped
talked
the
about where
train.
we were watching.
There was a train approaching, and he grabs the rails, and
He just
somehow it
he
stops.
stepped on it. No, he just put his foot on it.
Oh, okay, that's
and
right,
like
that's right.
electricity went into his leg, and he
So,
absorbed something.
He's
and-
Shazam now, I guess.
Sh-
Oh, okay.
Shazam. Okay, and
There
then
was one other one.
he kissed Lois.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Like he took
He's Poison Ivy now.
he took Lois on this like big like gallivant around the country.
He revealed himself to her. Like,
and then he kissed her, and then she just like looked stoned for like a minute and a half while he like went inside and like changed into a white tux, and then he came out, and she was like, "Hey, Clark,
Why am I out here?
why I'm out here. And she's like, you wanted fresh air. And she just forgot like about their trip. And honestly, the one that I want the most out of all of Superman's powers.
Oh, yeah.
He just
I know where you're
knows every
Everything.
language.
He's a linguist now.
The beginning of the film is him like saving Russian communauts, and he's like, Yola, and they're like, and it's like,
exactly that.
You could have
That
just
was actually
cursed
Russian.
in Russian, and people
I
would be
did.
very upset.
But I did start out my Russian just by saying Ola, but with a Russian accent, went Yola.
Oh, Yola.
And then
What else does he learn?
he saves an Italian village from a
And they-
volcano, and so he's like bida bida bida,
He
and they're
stops
like,
the second Pompeii, and then he starts talking in Italian.
he's like
Pompeii
bida bida bida, and they're like Superman.
This is the most racist episode of the Even Worse.
It's okay. No
podcast.
Italians listen to us because
better not.
no one listens to us. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Even Worse podcast. Okay.
Okay, let's give it a rating.
Fight scene. No,
Oh, we
wait.
gotta talk about the fight scene.
bro.
Fight scene.
Okay. So fight scene. We go from Earth to the moon to space.
We should probably explain that the whole fight scene both fight scenes kind of stem around the fact that Nuclear Man, as he is called, he needs the sun to survive. Just like his weakness is the sun, while it's kind of the inverse of Superman in this case. If you want to look at it that way, technically they both need the sun, but Superman just doesn't get weak if he doesn't have
Superman
it immediately.
can fight in the dark.
Nuclear Man literally dies the second he
Or he
pretty much
powers
loses
down.
everything.
It's like
Yeah.
his battery gets unplugged.
Exactly. It's like he's a robot, and he kind of just kind of turns off for a little bit.
His battery gets unplugged.
So-
Good work.
So the fight starts at the Empire State Building because Lex, for some reason, got the rights to have his little apartment in
he
the Empire State
lives. He
Building.
lives at the top.
And they move around the world, which we talked about the little fight, which they go to China and
From New York to
New
China.
York to China, and then China to Italy. So they backtrack. I guess.
Nuclear Man, I guess he goes, probably just keeps going around the world, gets to Italy, sets off a volcano.
What is his actual name? It's not Nuclear.
It is Nuclear
No,
Man.
it is
his
Nuclear
name
Man.
is
Oh my
Nuclear
God.
Man.
No, I would not. Don't worry. I know my comic books,
Yes, of course.
especially Superman. I
So
don't.
basically, the end of the film revolves. I guess we should mention this. That this is kind of more of a production thing. Is that Nuclear Man is obsessed with this. We talked about the love triangle, and Nuclear Man is actually obsessed with the younger girl that is into Clark Kent,
Lacey something.
Lacey, and for some reason he desperately, after seeing a picture of her on the newspaper, needs her.
Does he love her or does he want to kill her? 'Cause
No,
I
he wants
couldn't
her,
tell. I
in a-
want her
in a good way.
Okay,
I
in a
guess,
good way.
in a loving way, and this brings up an important point that we researched that about 30 minutes to 40 minutes of this film got cut. We know for sure,
which is insane.
for a 1 hour and 30-minute
It's
movie.
already 90 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you imagine if they had come out with the full thing? It would have been like a
Yeah.
2 hour and 15-minute movie?
I thought that
Superman
movie was
4.
The
Quest for the
End.
Uncut. The Quest for the End's pretty good. But yeah, I think that was
Quest
just
for
a
budget.
just a very interesting point that not only was there another kind of another love, not even a triangle, it's just another love scene, which kind of gives Nuclear Man a little bit of backstory or a little bit of action. But we also find out that he's the second Nuclear Man. It's a really messed up situation where they made Lex makes two Nuclear Men, kind of like a stage thing.
But we don't even see the
And
first
we don't
one.
even see the first one ends up being kind of weak, doesn't really look human, and
Kinda
Lex gets rid of
ugly,
him. And
outcast.
they probably weren't a fan of how long that took or making two Nuclear Men, so they
I'm
just
not a
cut
fan
off.
either. So.
Wait, hold on. So did they shoot that?
they
part?
shot it.
Okay, so
Yes.
that's a lot of budget went into shooting
Yes.
this thing. They should have just cut it right at the beginning and then had budget for
Special
special effects.
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't have been such a terrible movie.
Maybe, yeah.
All right, ratings.
Ratings?
One to
Ratings.
the room. not to the
Okay,
banker.
1 to the room. So what? So 5 being just kind
One's
of
good. Room's bad. Right.
1 is good, room is bad. Okay. Josh, go. I'm still thinking.
Honestly,
Yes, hard one.
with the character being the beloved Superman who actually had already been in a blockbuster, being in a feature film produced by Warner Brothers, and what actually turned out, I'm going to go with an 8
Shut.
for
Really?
for Superman.
Just because it didn't live up to the past
Yeah,
three
not
films and the
yeah.
character and things
I
like
guess
that?
that's definitely part of it. Their budget wasn't astronomical, but they literally made the worst thing possible out of the product that they had. It is the equivalent of the Star Wars Holiday Special, and one day that'll probably come up again on this podcast.
Oh, I hope not.
Hopefully not. But I definitely have to. I'm gonna actually go with an 8. This is the strongest opinion I've had over one of the movies.
Yeah, wow.
But that is really just because it centers around. It should be better than it is, and
Okay.
and it's just I don't know. It's such a letdown.
Drew?
I'm gonna give it a 6.
Okay.
That it was a bad movie. It really was. It was very boring. It was only 90 minutes, and I was bored to death.
Yeah, it was so slow.
Can you imagine sitting like in a room like with just the three of us for like 90 minutes because it's boring. Can you imagine like listening to us for like 30 minutes? It's boring enough.
Yeah.
But imagine
That
like
times
sitting
3.
with us for like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Drew, so you gave it a 6. I'm gonna give it a 5.99. No, I just don't want to give it the same rating as Drew. I don't know. I think we've definitely had way worse films to watch, but you're right where it's like this is not an original property. They had so much to base it on. They had 50 years of comics to base it on, and
That and also shame on you if this is your 4th film.
and you haven't
Just- yeah.
learned
Just
enough.
shame on you.
yeah, especially when you make something like Superman 3 that already sort of got a bad rap,
Right.
And it's like
Yeah, exactly.
you don't even learn from that mistake.
It's really, it's actually the Jaws,
7.
the Jaws factor. I don't mean to interrupt you.
The
but
Jaws factor?
Yeah, Jaws. The 1, 2, 3, 4 of Jaws
Oh.
parallels this perfectly.
You're right.
The second film isn't terrible, and then the third one is the one that it was like because
Awful.
it was just
Yeah.
really mad, like
Uh-huh.
leaning towards the pretty bad side, and then they're like, wait a minute, we've got one more, which I think it's time we introduce the next film on our little slate of films.
Next week on the Even Worse podcast, you can hear it from the brilliant music being made by Drew,
John
written
Williams,
by
I mean.
John Williams.
Hey, another John Williams score.
Ah.
too.
Next
Back to
week,
back.
we are watching Jaws 4,
The Revenge.
The Revenge. Couldn't remember the subtitle,
Starring
but
Michael Caine.
all good bad movies must have a subtitle, so we are watching Jaws 4, The Revenge next week.
Jaws for the Quest for Peace.
where the shark Bruce is a lovely like father and he's got a no. Okay. That's just my wild speculation, but find out our opinions next week on the Even Worse podcast. I'm Matthew.
Shout out to Pizza Hut. This is Drew.
This is Josh and also Cade
Hey,
in spirit.
Gabe McCarley.
Hey, Kay McCarley here, signing off.